Healing prayer of one who suffered trauma as a child. A friend of mine from school stopped me one evening, asking if we could get together just to talk about things. Later that week, we found ourselves sitting down to some coffee and a blessedly free evening. Mary Kate is a very competent, accomplished woman who is profoundly spiritual. She began, "Recently I've begun to work through some issues. I've been working with a wonderful therapist and spiritual director. I wanted to share with you an experience I had when I was on a weekend retreat down in Cambridge. I had always kept a part of myself as a child, in a closet, and was afraid to let her out. I didn't want anything else to happen to her. I didn't even interact with this child myself. It was too painful. One day my spiritual director assigned me the 5th chapter of Mark, the raising of the daughter of Jairus and the healing of the woman with the hemorrhage. I read the passage and began to settle into prayer. While I certainly could relate to the daughter of Jairus, part of me does feel like it has died. The only problem is that I didn't have a father who was willing to go out of his way to help me or find someone who could. No sooner had I thought this than something else crossed my mind, something that I don't think I thought myself. Maybe that's true of your own father, but it is not true about me." At that, something began to unfold within my imagination. I saw myself walking hand in hand with my disassociated child self. Jesus was walking toward us. When he reached us, although he did not say anything, I knew that he wanted me to give my child self to him. There was something about the way he looked at me. I knew I could trust him. So I gave her to him. He gathered her into his arms, almost like a mother would gather an infant. The look in his eyes as he gazed at the almost lifeless form was one of tremendous sorrow and compassion. I could tell he was very sorry because of what had happened to her. He turned around and began walking. With a motion of his head, I knew that he wanted me to follow, and so I did, but at a distance. Eventually he reached a place that was covered with lush, green grass and sat down. I stopped when he sat down and did not continue moving forward. He looked back at me and then looked at the ground next to him as if signaling me to sit down beside him, and I did. The next thing I knew, he put his arm around me and gently pulled me towards him. I looked to see where my child self was. She had disappeared. I panicked and began looking around for her. Jesus pulled me in a little closer. Then I realized that I was that child. Up until now, I had always felt that we were separate. At some level, in this prayer with Jesus, I had become integrated. And although there is still a lot of healing that has to take place, the child in me that had died began to come to life again. I sat in silence, reverencing the sacredness of her story. At last she broke the silence, stating, "I guess my father has not abandoned me after all." If this story has helped you in some way, and you want to learn more about making peace with yourself, obtain a copy of Making Peace with Yourself, 15 Steps to Spiritual Healing by Catherine J. Herms. This excerpt is taken from the chapter Step 11, Redefining Power. The book is available from Pauline Books and Media. www.pauline.org